2008 saw the release of Iron Man, the first film to be directly produced by Marvel Studios. It was a financial, critical, and audience hit, but it was also a gamble. Today, the Nerd Room is going to examine what made it a hit, as well as the hurdles it had to overcome to be made, as well as the impact it had on comic book films to follow. Okay, first off, I will admit, I didn't have the enthusiasm going into this movie like I probably should have. I mean, I'm going to go see comic movies regardless. But, I was, not the world's biggest Iron Man fan. So I had a friend who was, so he was really looking forward to the movie. But I was just like, well, it's a comic book movie. Might as well support it because I'm a comic book fan. But, it's an awesome movie. I was surprised and pretty much went online right after I saw it. I saw it the first day, had a day off. So what pulled me into the movie? The opening story arc of the film is what really pulled me into the story. Tony Stark, a hard-living, ego-driven CEO of Stark Industries, a weapons manufacturer for the United States, gets attacked, captured, and held hostage by a terrorist cell using instruments of his own design. Wounded in the attack and realizing that there may be no way out as shrapnel makes its way to his heart, when ordered to build a new weapon so they can use, he instead constructs his own weapon, a high-powered suit of armor which he hopes will allow him to escape, as well as destroy the cache of Stark Industry weapons that they have armed themselves with. This story arc is kind of realistic to me, and it shows the drama and the desperation he has. Now, this film was criticized by a couple of reviewers when it was first released because of the realism and, say, the initial attack on Tony Stark's caravan, but I don't have a problem with it. I like the fact that, they really worked hard to try and make it look like it could be a real incident, could make a real character in a real world instead of, fantasy. I get that it's a Marvel universe, but, there's that sense of verisimilitude like they use in Superman to try to make it look like it's a living environment instead of a Batman Forever or Batman and Robin type fantasy world. Using the jerry-rigged armor to escape his captivity, Stark is rescued by his friend James Rhodes and brought back to the States. Possibly fueled by his own ego, he starts to use his own high-tech equipment and laboratory and technology to create a streamlined version of the suit. What I liked most about this arc of the storyline is the miscues and miscalculations. Pretty much, it's a rocky road to even get to the point where he has a prototype. And even though he does create a working model, he still seems fueled to exact revenge against the cell for having his weaponry. So he goes there to wreak his revenge, as well as destroy the weapons cache that he has, and to protect the village that the cell has taken over itself. But it's not to say that the people back home aren't embracing Tony's new ideology with open arms either. Another aspect I like is how everyone in his life is not on board with his mindset. Take his assistant Pepper Potts, who thinks he's going through a crisis of not just a crisis of conscience, but maybe he's going crazy because of the events that happened to him and his mind's not right. Or James Rhodes, who has known him primarily since college as a weapons designer and a warmonger and all that, and suddenly he sees that his friend is now not going to supply weapons to his country and his military, so he wonders if he's not an enemy of the state or whatever, but it is what it is. And then you have Obadiah Stane, who runs a company with Tony Stark, who feels that not only is Tony unfit, he also wants the technology he developed in his incarceration, i.e. the small arc reactor. So he pushes Stark out of his leadership role and out of the company, claiming that he has PTSD and he's not fit to run a company. And then he pretty much decides he wants to take the arc reactor for himself by trying to kill Tony, which he, spoiler alert, he tried to do by hiring the terrorists at the beginning of the movie. But he takes the arc reactor, and because he wants to build new weapons, because Tony isn't going to be on board, so he builds the Ironmonger suit, a giant, probably what he feels is a more technologically advanced suit than Tony Stark's. So besides story, besides the effects, probably the main thing that brought the people in was Robert Downey Jr.'s performance itself. With his role as Tony Stark in Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. emerged like a phoenix out of the ashes of what could have been a self-destructive career, to remind the audience of his incredible ability. He's sometimes arrogant, he's funny, sometimes guarded. He inhabits the role of Tony Stark as if he's walked through the shoes through his own life and his problems. Just watch the scenes opposite Jeff Bridges where he has his vulnerability and yet he has a mentor which he doesn't want to disappoint, but he still, wants to do his own thing. And watch later on as outside the Walt Disney concert hall where he finds out his mentor is going behind his back and stabbing him in the back. Just watch his face right here, for example, as he's, heartbroken. So pretty much that was me looking into Iron Man, what I thought of it, what I took out of it, whatever. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know. If you hated this video, please let me know. If you want to see me continue to do some more Marvel movies, please let me know. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.